how to make your life feel longer. I was listening to this podcast with this girl, and she did this experiment where she tried to make 1 week feel like 2 weeks. You can listen to the podcast. It's a very short, entertaining episode. They add all of these sound effects that confuse me, but regardless, she goes through this crazy experiment. She does so many things in 1 week. She breaks up with her life partner, and she realizes that yes, you can really make time feel longer. You can make 1 week feel like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. At the same time, it's really about noticing the present and how every single moment that you're living is a new moment. Today's my last day in London. Tomorrow I'm going back to Bucharest. And I started remembering what I did today and why today mattered. Let's start from the beginning. I woke up this morning, checked the birthday messages that a few people left me. I jumped on a call with my mom. We were debating whether I ate an orange, and I did not peel the orange with the knife, but instead I did it with my hands. It was a kind of a messy process, but I ate first half of the orange. I quickly changed into my teacher clothes. I had a call with a student. It was the last day that she was in my course, and I felt quite nostalgic finishing the course with her. I asked her about the program. She said some really lovely things, which reminded me that what I'm doing is important. Damon is coming back. I'm filming a video.
Okay.
I put on my clothes. I put my hair this time, for the first time since I got it straightened, I put it in a ponytail, which made me feel really pretty. And I left the house. In the car, I had an attempt to connect with my Uber driver. Sometimes with some Uber drivers, you just have the most funny conversation.
Sorry, I thought my headphones work. Sorry, okay.
The Uber driver wanted to talk to me. At the same time, I was thinking that maybe his mom or his parents weren't very emotional, or he doesn't come from a very emotional household. While I was in the Uber, I kept noticing how the scenery and the buildings that I was passing by were very similar to the ones in Asia in certain moments. And I was thinking how it doesn't matter where you are. It's about, the most important thing is how you're feeling on the inside. Because if I have a dream of going to different places, those places are not going to make me feel differently. It's just about how I'm feeling on the inside. At one point, after all of the strange movements of the car, because this car on the tiny streets of London, it was just going back and forth, stopping. This was me in the car. I felt like throwing up. The driver wanted to... he got very nervous that I'm gonna throw up in his car, but he stopped. I got a bit of fresh air. I walked out of the car. I started looking at the trees. The wind was making the leaves move, and the sun was peeking through the leaves, and I just connected to that for a few seconds, and my stomach started calming down. So I got back into the car and I continued driving. He asked the waiter if they have t-shirts because he wants to buy one of them, and that really intrigued me because I didn't understand what he meant. He's a very peculiar character, but I like it. I went with him and we ate at a Korean place, and I had for the first time jjajangmyeon. I've always heard of this dish, but I never tasted it. It had no taste. It was very tasteless, but maybe he said it's not the Chinese jjajangmyeon, which is much better. And I also ate from a very hot, boiling pot that was kind of cooking the vegetables, but it wasn't one of those pots where you cook it yourself. It's just a standalone, very hot pot, like a shakshuka pot. We also ate some meat. We were cutting the meat with the scissors. I've never cut meat with scissors before. And And when he ordered scissors, that was something that surprised me. It started getting really cold and I had my hair pushed back. And I started to feel like my brain and my ears and just my whole head was freezing. And after 8 months of summer in Asia, it was not a feeling that I was familiar with. Even though it was such a cold day, it was sunny. So I found this little spot of sun in the bus station where the sun was just hitting my whole body, and that was warming me up. And right behind me there was a truck where two men one of them was in their 30s, one of them was in their 40s, were taking utensils, I think construction utensils, to put into a house. The younger man said to the older man, be very careful with this one particular pot because it was orange and it was new. It was a construction object. And the other guy didn't seem to pay attention, and they had a little quarrel about it. So it was a very passive aggressive interaction. In the bus, I felt I wanted time to pass faster, and I wanted my life to speed up to the moment when I can get home and get into bed. But then I started listening to this podcast with Alain de Botton. Made me feel a lot of awe, just made me feel so understood, and I started feeling so inspired. At one point, even though the bus was very empty, this older gentleman with a lot of bags came and sat right next to me, and I got very uncomfortable, and I was analyzing, why am I getting so uncomfortable? Because he's just another human next to me. Why is this making me feel uncomfortable? But I could smell him. He didn't smell bad. He smelled just different than me, but it was so interesting to see this other guy getting in my space and kind of annoying me. And I stayed with that feeling. I wanted to see, what if I can conquer it and just get past me being uncomfortable with him next to me. But then I said, let me actually just move. I didn't want to deal with it, not in a negative way. I just got up and moved to another empty seat because most of the bus was empty. I remember in the bus thinking that the driver is in charge of all of the people that are alive in the bus, and that just made me grateful for the driver. At one point in the second bus, I saw a Pole restaurant, one of those French pastry restaurants, and I instantly craved a vanilla eclair. The doors were open to the bus, but I said I'm not gonna take it, but then I realized that I'm gonna start obsessing over the eclair if I don't have it, so I quickly pushed the stop button, climbed down the stairs. I went into the Pole restaurant and they didn't have the vanilla eclair. They said they don't even make vanilla eclairs in the UK. I bought a chocolate one instead, and I sat at this table next to this old couple. They were in their 70s. As I was leaving the Pole restaurant, I noticed this poster where it said, we don't tolerate any aggression towards our staff. That made me realize that there is aggression in London, and that made me realize how not used I am to aggression. And I realized how fortunate I am that I've never been through that, and also my 8 months in Asia, particularly in Thailand, the aggression was non-existent almost. As I was trying to eat them, I realized that I'm just okay with 2 and I cannot eat the whole thing, so I just didn't. That's it, everybody.